If you want to listen to all of the episodes of this series right now, early release and ad-free, plus a whole host of extra fan club benefits, head to museumofpopculture.supportingcast.fm. Or if that's too much of a mouthful, just click on it in the show notes, which is the description bit that no one reads. Welcome back to part 3 of the story of Studio 54. Coming up in this episode, we discuss the birth and rise of disco, and the nightclub runs into the first of many legal issues, as rumours of tax evasion and money laundering threaten to derail the dream.
Rubel takes pride in the fact that his high school graduating class named him least likely to succeed. I talked with Rubel about the admission policy at Studio 54.
You know, it's so accidental how people do get in. You stood by the door and examined it, and very critically, and you saw that people get in. It's really a random selection of people. We don't have room for everybody, and it's a random selection. We are careful to keep anybody we think that might be trouble out. Sure. You know, in other words, we've never had an incident in here. And if I ever started having incidents inside, I wouldn't enjoy being in this business.
Tom, I don't want to patronise you, but I'm going to take you through the history of disco.
Of course, thank you.
But
as you know, I know it all.
Yeah.
But there might be people at home who aren't quite.
If you could act like this is new information.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But it is important because obviously Studio 54 is part of disco. Obviously it's, as we've discussed in the last episode, it goes further.
Yes.
A little too far for your tastes. Yeah. But maybe this is where you could meet it halfway. But also it, in the same way it ties in with that New York that it's escaping, it ties in with the rise and then perceived fall of disco. So there is no identifiable birth date for disco, but kind of the key moment, maybe 1970, a guy called David Mancuso, who began hosting private parties at a place called The Loft. And what's kind of interesting about disco is it's similar in the way we're talking about gay clubs. It breaks down huge barriers. So you get loads of people of all sexualities there, people of all races there, and it's kind of celebratory and danceable. I suppose it's similar in the way that acid house does in the UK and abroad in the late 80s, in that it's incredibly positive meetups. I'm not glorifying drugs, obviously. Obviously, there's a huge downside. But it is that ether of people.
Shared experience, yeah.
Shared experience, yeah.
Well, we met through disco.
Well, of course, I forgot that. Yeah, of course.
I saw a hand going up, pointing to the sky, and then down to the bottom left, over and over, up, down, up, down. I thought, who is that guy? They're not even playing any music.
No, we're in Flying Tiger.
Yeah, I must speak to him. Yeah, and I was eating a packet of discos, wasn't I? That was
of course. Yeah. And you would go, these are too strong.
As everyone's thought. Yeah.
That's the death of disco, was when people decided that discos were too strong. What's the stronger taste, the goings on at Studio 54 or salt and vinegar discos? It's a difficult, which is the more extreme disco.
Yeah, so to give you the line, so my premier choice would be stood by the burning building out in the streets of New York. Then it would be up in the snort and suck room. And then finally, at the very bottom, the things I'd like to do would be eating a packet of discos.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Would you snort and suck discos? That's the worst. Anyway, 1973 is the year disco breaks through. So that's 4 years pre Studio 54. 1974, Barry White's Love Theme. That reaches number 1. The Hughes Corporation's Rock the Boat. You know that one?
Of course, yeah.
That comes off a great album. The album title for that is Freedom for the Stallion.
Love it.
Other disco hits, slightly less respected. Kung Fu Fighting by Carl Douglas.
Yeah, okay.
Rock Your Baby, which was the first number 1 in the UK. And then by 1975, you've got people like Donna Summer, Casey and the Sunshine Band, having multiple number 1s and stuff. So that is when it's huge. And then in 1977, the same year as Studio 54, you get Saturday Night Fever, which is set in New York.
Of course.
And it's also about the degradation of New York and someone finding something, that they can kind of create their identity.
Does the video have a bit of that feeling as well? To my mind, they're sort of walking through a city.
Yeah. So that is the exact same time. And that album goes to number 1 for 24 weeks and sells 16 million copies in the US.
Wow.
So Studio 54 is the height of disco. That is Salt and Vinegar disco we're talking about there. And so from 1977 to 1980, 22 disco songs go to number 1. I Will Survive, Don't Leave Me This Way. ABBA's Dancing Queen, having that.
Yeah.
1977.
Great tunes.
So disco is huge, right?
Bill Wardlow is one of the publishers of Billboard magazine, the Bible of the record business.
But I think today you have discotheques that are for the masses. They're for a blending of the people. It's, to me, a sociological revolution, very, very quietly bringing the people together. And through music, going to their feet instead of their heads, maybe. And I saw the reaction of people around New York, and I saw hits being made on the floor here. 150,000 singles were being sold on the New York market with very little radio play on the pop stations.
It also becomes a kind of haven for the LGBTQ plus community because they can be kind of out and free.
Yeah.
And the kind of gay energy impacts the nightclubs as well. There's a synergy there, Tom. It's a place for the LGBTQ plus community, but also they inform what these places are like. Yeah. So Schrager says, actually, the joy and acceptance we had created allowed Steve to be comfortable, Steve Rubell, who runs the Studio 54.
Yeah.
Comfortable with his sexuality, maybe for the first time in his whole life.
Oh, amazing.
So he's the story of one of those people.
Yeah, amazing.
And I think it's kind of important, to put it in a New York context, that is a huge change. So in New York, their history of gay clubs and kind of nightlife. In 1890, you had a place called The Slide on Bleecker Street, which was the first place for gay men to gather. And the local press called it the wickedest place in New York.
Wow.
And then 1890s to 1930s, there was Webster Hall, Rockland Palace, which had drag balls, which were part of, not my words, the pansy craze.
Right.
And then there was a feminist club called Polly's, which became a hangout in kind of 1910s. You had the Stonewall thing. It was in 1969. There was a raid on the Stonewall Inn, which kicked off the gay rights movement. That is only 8 years before Studio 54 in New York. And so it's kind of an incredible thing that happens in that sense, particularly in a city that's basically bankrupt and being burned to the ground.
Of course.
And so Studio 54 feels like a place for this, but also it gives a life to people who aren't gay but are kind of on the edge of society. There's a woman called Disco Sally who's incredible. She is 77 years old.
Right.
And she's a retired Jewish lawyer who becomes a judge. And then after the death of her husband, she stumbles on the disco scene through Studio 54. And she will dance non-stop from midnight to 5 a.m., many nights a week, only taking bathroom and cocaine breaks.
Wow. What, she gets into cocaine age 77?
Yeah. Feels dangerous.
Personally, I want to retire to the south of France. That's a choice, isn't it?
So she's just dancing from midnight till 5 a.m.
Right.
A retired judge, widowed judge. Rubell says to her, "I'd like to see you here. Come anytime you like and you'll get in." She basically becomes a star of the club and celebrities queue up to be her dance partner. So Dustin Hoffman.
Edgy, isn't she? That's what I met your dad last night. It's like the edgy vibe. Yeah, she's really got into coke.
Yeah, actually, we're celebrating it, but it's actually quite problematic.
It's good that she's out of the house, don't get me wrong. It's good, obviously.
It's good to have a hobby.
Good to be moving on after his death, but she's got quite intense. Yeah. Christmas Day is quite intense.
But Dustin Hoffman, Bill Murray, they're the celebs that queue up to dance with her. She says, "I didn't dance for 50 years because my husband didn't like it."
Oh, wow.
So that's nice, isn't it?
I'm still not pro her doing loads and loads of coke, but it's nice that she danced.
It feels like a reaction, doesn't it, to his death?
Yeah.
Another unique character is the Roll Arena fairy godmother, who's Kentucky-born, Vietnam War veteran and stockbroker. They go to Studio 54 in fairy attire with roller skates and a wand, and no one ever knows their true identity.
Oh.
While skating with their wand to bless people and objects.
Wearing a mask, I guess, yeah?
presumably in 1988, they're awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award for their activism around AIDS at the Heritage of Pride.
Wow.
So you get these kind of, it's not just celebs, you get these kind of
absolutely
out there characters. But the problems are starting now. And the problems are like the door policy is both celebrated and quite problematic. So Andy Warhol once describes the door policy as a dictatorship, and early crowds are described as the damned looking into paradise.
Wow.
Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, their visits are always comped, but the rest of the Rolling Stones have to pay to be admitted.
Are you kidding?
Absolutely brutal.
Do you think Mick is then splitting, going, okay, look, I'm getting him for free, but let's just work out what
Charlie Watts, that is. That's not what's going on in there, but it is.
Yeah, that's not what that 77-year-old woman's just offered me.
Yeah. Charlie, Bill, Roddy Wood, what have you paid, a tenner each? So shall we call it £6 between us, all of us?
Surely. Or at least buy them a drink when you get in to make it the great leveller.
What would really happen there is if you're Mick Jagger, you'd go, this is awkward, so shall we go in at Keith? Shall we just like try and lose them in the queue? And then we could, when we get in there, we can pretend we paid.
Should we slip behind that horse?
Yeah.
Horse is another thing the 77-year-old was doing. Just to be absolutely clear, that's a drug reference.
No, not in the rubber room. She's not fucking it in the rubber room. I think your use of the word romantic earlier is certainly looking like a ray of light in this podcast. The president of Cyprus is denied admission.
Right.
Because the doorman presumes he's the president of New York City's Cypress Hills Cemetery. There's a misunderstanding.
Amazing.
And the Saudi king, Khalid's son, is turned away. And the Saudi embassy in Washington get in touch with Rubal and ask him to never be turned away again.
Wow.
We're talking international incidents here.
Amazing.
So what is the code for a normal person getting in, right? Robert Sheridan, who's the former doorman. So they had code that they'd use, the former doorman.
Right, yeah.
We would say barbecue house party. What do you think a barbecue house party is? So it's a group of people approaching up the street and they say, oh, here comes a barbecue house party.
Barbecue house party? Oh, that's tricky. I can't work that out. What is a barbecue house party?
8 straight white guys dressed like John Travolta.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's a group of straight white squares, basically.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And also there was a night when there was a guy stood outside for half an hour in like bell-bottom jeans, multiple gold chains with like a long shaggy haircut. And then Rubel comes out of the club and he says to Sheridan, the doorman, I think that might be a BG. And Sheridan goes up to him and says, are you a BG? And the man says, yeah, I'm Barry Gibb. So he gets in. But like, it's basically at the doorman's prerogative.
You want to be careful saying the words BG in the queue because someone can easily mishear you. Next thing you know, it's all kicking off again. I really didn't want this. I just want to be queuing. I didn't say that. Please don't. I just want to get in. I just want to have a pint in the bar. I'm tired. I've had a hard day at work. I just want to just have a drink with my mate. Please, I don't want one.
You'd say that, right? There was a term, the bridge and tunnel crowd, which was, I think this is you, Tom. Patrons who would come on a Friday night after work in polyester shirts.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, absolutely.
The claim was that you couldn't come in a polyester shirt because it melts under the theatre lights.
Great.
But Schrager says we didn't want people in polyester shirts called James. That's his view. Basically, they say that he used to say that the perfect party is not just all the top people. He said it was like a tossed salad wherein the choicest vegetables were... Oh, come on now. Come on now.
Keep going.
We're better than that. Are we? The choicest vegetables are not necessarily the most important. Some just fit in. So sometimes you'd invite in the limo drivers would get invited in.
Really?
It wasn't like it was a very random kind of who's the right person. This is insane. He says, I remember a guy in a doctor's outfit wheeling in his patient on a stretcher.
No.
With a tank of laughing gas attached, with 12 tubes coming out of it.
Amazing.
This guy was giving free hits to everyone.
We're assuming that's a friend playing the patient.
No, I'm not. I'm presuming it's a patient.
Do you?
Yeah.
We should be struck off the record then.
Not struck off the record. No, it's struck off the register.
Register.
Struck off the record means you don't want it. Do you want us to remove it in the edit? Is that what you're saying? Well, we can't be putting this out in a podcast. This needs to be struck from the record. Michael, chop this bit out. It's absolutely of all the things I've heard, this is the worst. This needs to be struck from the record.
This is too much for people.
Yeah.
But no, surely it's someone playing the part of the patient. They're not an actual doctor leaving the hospital, is it, and going down the corridors?
Look at what's going on.
Yeah, you are right.
Let me tell you this one then, right? So people come up with various ingenious plans, right? There's a guy who says that he was telephoned by a young woman who asked for the loan of $500. He asked why. She wanted to rent a horse. Her and her girlfriend were planning to get into the Studio 54 Halloween party as Lady Godivas. Do you remember Lady Godiva that rode in naked on the horse?
Yeah.
So they strip, saddle up, and arrived on the horse. Steve Rebell's out front. He looks them over and he says, "The horse can come in, but you girls have to stay outside." It's great fun, isn't it?
That's amazing.
The horse goes in without them. It behaves itself and then is returned to its riders, who take it to a club with a less demanding door policy.
You know why it behaved itself, though, Josh?
Go on.
You can take a horse to a bar, but you can't teach how to order a drink.
Oh, yeah, right. Really nice. Really. Really good.
It's fine, isn't it?
No, I do like it.
It all works, isn't it? Yeah. I didn't hate it.
I wondered why you were not really concentrating on the horse actually going in. It's because you were sitting on that, waiting for your opportunity.
So the horse went in on its own?
Don't try and win it back now, Craig. We all know you weren't interested.
Winning it back? No, genuinely, I am intrigued.
Yeah, it went in on its own, behaved itself, and then was returned to its riders.
Behaved itself.
The nakedness does grind after a while. They're right about Grace Jones.
Yeah.
So there's a girl who wants to get in, who they describe as ravishingly beautiful. So Steve Rebell, who, to be fair to him, is gay, he tells her to take off all her clothes and she can come into the club for free. Mm-hmm. She takes off all her clothes, but then she has to go to hospital because she gets frostbitten nipples.
Oh, no.
Awful.
Was it really cold in there, then? I suppose in the
outside of the queue. Yeah. Would you take your clothes off to get into a nightclub?
Absolutely not.
No.
I've already made it perfectly clear that I'm not that interested in going in the first place.
I think when they ask for shoes is too much.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, I'd paint a pair on as an act of rebellion.
Yeah.
So there's another artist, John Schreibner, says there was a fellow who was Latin American who would always come in a suit. He would go into a side room, take everything off, put on a bath towel, and parade around the dance floor, doing this hooting and screaming. He would do a kind of whooping kind of thing, like an Indian war dance. The floor would immediately clear, and he would have his own little kind of territory. I remember one night, he was quite drunk, and Rubel was up in the disco booth. This guy bent over and mooned him. Steve immediately alerted the bouncers. It was one of the snowstorms of the late 70s, and they threw him out into the snow. He lost his towel, and he was lounging around in 2 feet of snow.
Wow.
I think they took pity on him and gave him an overcoat, presumably because the cloakroom's just full of coats piled up. No one's going to get that back anyway, mate.
Yeah. There's a lot of performance about this, isn't it? As in people want to be seen.
The whole thing is a performance. So they talk about how the dance floor is the performance area.
Oh, really? Okay.
And the balcony is the audience stroke rubber room.
Yeah. Interesting, yeah. But everyone's sort of like putting on a little play, aren't they, really? A lot of people turning up in their outfits and trying to,
Yeah.
The doctor with the patient, all these things is kind of eyes on me.
Events. It's
events.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The door policy, though, causes mounting frustration. People start turning up with weapons, making threats. The head doorman has to be asked to be walked to his car by another doorman.
Who then walks that second doorman back to the...
Yeah, well, that's the problem.
It's like the horse and the grain, isn't it?
The horse and the grain's inside. No, the first doorman probably drives the second doorman back.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
It's the perfect plan. And then the first doorman just gets beaten up when he gets left back at Studio 54. People would use climbing equipment.
Right.
So to climb in, like barbed wire was added as a deterrent. But people would get tangled in the barbed wire and fall 10 feet into the thing below. This next fact is bleak, but it's kind of wild. Well, it's both. There was a death, according to someone. They said a guy got stuck in a vent trying to get in. And it smelled like a cat had died. They found him in there in black tie in the air vent.
A while later, they found him up there. That's horrendous.
It's grim, isn't it?
Yeah.
But kind of fascinating.
And I wonder if, once again, if that also
adds to the myth.
You're saying in your meeting afterwards, obviously it's not ideal, but this is...
There's no such thing as bad PR. Well, it turns out there is, because this is when it's all starting to go wrong, right? So the liquor license problem, which I trailed in the last episode. So 6 months after the club opens, the police arrive and they arrest them for the prolonged use of one-day catering license permits.
I love that that's the thing that's taken them down.
Well, it isn't. It isn't, to be fair.
Okay.
The club closes for one night only, and it's reopened the next evening with the following notice on the door. Welcome and thank you for joining us this evening. Due to the unfortunate misunderstanding, we are unable to serve alcoholic beverages. However, we have a wide variety of soft drinks and juices, and you're welcome to drink as much as you like at no charge. Studio 54 will remain open. We thank you for helping us make it the success that it is.
And there's a retired judge on the dance floor who can sort you out with uppers. It's not all bad.
I suppose the problem with the liquor license thing is when you start a club, you probably don't imagine that it's going to be the most famous place on earth. Do you know what I mean? So you get this situation. And so a lot of these things aren't, you're imagining that you're just running a business, so you might as well skim some money, or you're running a business, so you might as well just do this weird one-day thing, liquor license. You're not imagining that you will create celebrity culture and be the most famous place on earth.
However, if after a year and a half you still haven't changed that liquor license...
It was 6 months. It was 6 months.
Okay, fine. I mean, on that, the thing I'm fascinated about is the night when they've lost it.
Yeah.
There'll be a couple of nights when they are just serving juices. What is happening on those nights? What is that experience like for people when they turn up at the door and they can only order mbongo? What is happening? At what point are people starting to get annoyed? Is it a BYO thing for those 2 nights?
You're like, guys, you've been pushing the limits of rules as it is.
Yeah.
Surely you can chuck me a fucking beer. Like, how is this now the point where you're towing the line?
I can hear 100 people having sex in a rubber room. Just let me have half a Guinness. We can all see the rubber room is shaking.
Yeah, do you know what? I'd need a couple of drinks if I'm going to go in the rubber room.
Yeah.
I wonder whether the rubber room was quieter on the non-alcohol nights.
Yeah.
Because they were like, do you know what? Now I'm sober. It doesn't feel so much fun to have sex in a rubber room.
People like sat in a sauna just having work chat. There was a thing, we talk about the madness of his place and the rubber room, all this sort of stuff. I still think I've, at Cardiff University, encountered the maddest thing you'd see on a dance floor.
Yeah.
Which is at Cardiff University, on the dance floor, there was a Domino's pizza.
What do you mean?
On the dance floor at Cardiff University, there was a hatch which had a mini Domino's pizza inside and 2 Domino's pizza employees, and they would serve pizza direct to the dance floor in the full Domino's boxes.
I mean, you're not selling many at Studio 54 with the amount of cocaine being... But do you see that kind of melding of, of joy as a kind of... A Studio 54 is a precursor to that.
Yeah.
In the way Studio 54 has brought in, the rubber room, the Domino's pizza is just the kind of 2000s version of the rubber room.
The Cardiff Student Union was Wales's answer to Studio 54.
How often did you get a Domino's pizza?
You could buy it by the slice.
Oh, right, yeah.
You'd often see me cutting shapes, holding a slice of Texas barbecue.
While they're cutting pizza.
Exactly, my calling card.
Cutting shapes with a big metal wheel.
But there is something... although I've come down hard on the idea that the sex in the queue is going to be a lot for me, I'll give them this, that the excitement about not knowing what each night is going to be and what you're going to find,
yes,
that must be refreshing. Whereas, bars and clubs is often the same thing.
Yeah.
It must be something incredible going to a club where you're like, is someone going to come in on a horse at any point? I completely get that.
It must be quite disappointing when you just turn up and then no one comes in on a horse or has sex in the queue. Do you know what I mean? You're just like,
the theme tonight is just provincial nightclub.
Yeah.
That's the theme at Studio 54.
Yeah.
A lot of divorcees.
Yeah, just a lot of snogging. A lot of regret. So they granted a liquor license shortly afterwards. So that passes.
Okay. Yeah.
The real problem is tax evasion.
Ah.
So their accounting is fast and loose, shall we say.
I'm not shocked at that.
In 1977, they make millions. and they pay $8,000 in taxes.
Right.
So each morning, massive portions of the previous night, because this is a time of cash, obviously.
Yes.
Massive portions of last night's take will be stuffed in rubbish bags and hidden above ceiling panels or smuggled home to Rubel's apartment and concealed in a hidden compartment.
Wow.
But Rubel gets quite cocky. He says, what the IRS doesn't know might hurt them. Only the mafia makes more money. And he says that to New York Magazine.
Right. That's an incredible decision.
Feels like a mistake, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So in November 78, the New York Magazine published an article.
Understandably.
Yeah. Featuring Steve Rubel saying the only people making more money than Ian Schrager and me are the mafia.
Right.
His brother, Rubel's brother, says it was the stupidest thing he could have done, asking for the IRS to knock on the door. But it's later revealed, people always thought that was the problem. Actually, that isn't the reason the IRS visit the club. It's because of a man called Donald Moon, who had been fired by Studio 54, by Steve Rubel without much tact. And so Donald Moon becomes the snitch.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so they are raided on December the 14th, 1978 by 24 IRS agents. They find 300 Quaaludes in the safe.
Yeah.
Schrager, this is incredible, tries to enter the club while the raid is taking place.
Okay.
And they find cocaine on him.
Oh, my goodness.
They'd been told, the IRS, about the secret safe with a double set of books in it. So the first raiders arrive at 9 a.m. in the morning of the Thursday, December the 14th, and they go straight down to the basement and home in on the metal safe with the real books, right?
Yes.
And they find bags filled with cash in the walls, behind the pipes, up in the roof, nearly $1 million worth of cash. You can't even pick $1 million, so much money.
Also, does it not feel like, in terms of other schoolboy areas, hiding the cash in the building?
Yes, that feels like an error.
Surely you drive it somewhere else and hide it somewhere else.
To give Steve Rubel his due, they do catch him in his Mercedes with a further $100,000 in the boot.
Okay, good.
So,
Yeah.
you know, at least he's trying that, Craine. Give him some credit.
Once again, the boot of your own car is not a good enough hiding place. It has to be somewhere which is removed from you, surely.
They go to his apartment and they find cash in a compartment behind his bookshelves in the main room as well.
Great, of course I do.
Yeah.
Because he's rubbish at hiding money. This is not your thing.
No, parties is
You
his
don't
thing.
have a knack for it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So they go from misguided defense, right? They go for a guy, an attorney called Ray Cohn, C-O-H-N, right? Who's infamous for his ties with the mafia. On his advice, they trash the club to make it seem like the federal agents have wrecked it.
Yeah.
Schrager later says, that was the first of a long line of mistakes.
Yeah.
I'd say turning up with coke on you during the raid was the first of a long line of mistakes.
Yeah.
So it begins the case with the allegation that money's been skimmed from the total intake and that cash and drugs have been hidden in the club.
Okay.
The informant says there's a second set of financial books in the ceiling, and the agents find manila envelopes containing alternate ledgers. It feels mad to keep a ledger of how you are ripping off the IRS. And they've got 5 columns in the ledger. Ian, Steve, Jack, the sleeping partner, the total, and then SKM, which stands for skim, which is a list of how much money they're skimming off.
Come on, guys. I mean, it does feel you're leading them to it, aren't you?
It does feel a bit, doesn't it?
At least write money we haven't skimmed.
Money for charity.
Yeah, exactly. There you are.
To be fair, Michael Ovington, who's the former manager there, claims that's folklore. And the bags of cash were actually bags of quarters used to restock the tills on busy nights because it was too much effort to get it out of the safe with the combination.
I'm not immediately buying that. I don't.
$1 million in quarters.
Yeah.
$1 million. So that's 4 million quarters.
Yeah.
That's not being held up by a ceiling tile.
Exactly.
Particularly because there's also a man in the vent in the ceiling currently decomposing.
Yeah.
So Rubel's former partner, Bill Hamilton, says there were secret doors behind bookcases. Steve had $900,000 in cash, in tens and fives stacked. The feds came in and took it all.
Wow.
Schrager says, I was driving around with $400,000 in the trunk of my car. It could have been stolen or towed. I was just parking in garages.
Incredible.
Over the lifespan of the club, 33 months, the prosecutors reckon they skimmed $2.5 to $3 million
Wow.
from the books.
So that's 77 as well. 70, that's sometimes. So, goodness knows, that's what's that? Probably 12, 15 million now. Yeah.
Plus, they're making money as well. That's only what they're skimming.
Wow. That's mind-blowing, isn't it?
Do you know who the bookkeeper was? It was Rubel's mother.
Right.
And she was unaware of the drug trade, and she did the finances. And so for the drugs, they just put it through as party favours. That's what all the drugs for the celebrities were put through. So it all goes wrong, I'm afraid to say, Tom.
It feels like it's going that way.
So the third partner, Jack Ducey, he's obviously indicted as well as those two, yeah? They're going to have a meeting and Rubel cancels it. They're all meant to meet their lawyer,
Yes.
Cohn, and they cancel it. Ducey calls the club the evening of the meeting and he's told that Rubel and Schrager have gone to Cohn's house without him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he drives around to the house, finds both their cars there. I mean, with 500 grand in them, I imagine.
Yeah.
And furious, he hires his own attorney to split the defence.
Oh, wow.
So he pleads guilty to a single count of tax evasion and agrees to cooperate and testify against his partners. It's a story as old as time, isn't it?
Yeah.
So during this time, Schrager and Rubel decide to do what?
They're still a cohesive unit, yeah?
Yeah.
They decide, to try and pin it all on the other guy.
Well, no, they decide to renovate the club
Oh,
to show a hope and a new dawn.
okay.
600 workers are brought in, round-the-clock shifts, costing $1.5 million. And they put in a moving bridge inspired by Broadway's Sweeney Todd that moves at 45 feet a minute.
So they're trying to push the idea that this is providing, I guess, work. This is an exciting thing to have in New York. That this,
I think they're just acting like they haven't done anything wrong. So they're just continuing like it is.
Mm.
And so they await the trial and whether they will be sentenced or whether Studio 54 will power forward with its movable bridge.
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen, Tom? Well, weighing up the evidence, where do you think it's going?
I worry for them. I'd be surprised if I went online afterwards and tried to book tickets to Studio 54 if they were available.
Yeah, because it's still so popular.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. In terms of this aspect of hiding the money, do you think that's partly because they're so wrapped up in this wild, debauched lifestyle that...
Yeah, and also they're off their faces the whole time.
Yeah, I think that's it.
And they're living at the nightclub, basically, presumably.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when they're going to get the opportunity to launder the money.
But you could just run that properly and pay your taxes properly. And by the sound of things, they've still got an incredible business, which is bringing in so much money. There's no reason to be doing it this way.
I'd say you're the kind of square in a polyester shirt that wouldn't be welcome, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to prison, though, am I?
You're not going to prison. Well, maybe they aren't going to prison either. We will find out in the next episode whether they go to prison. Not to give it away, we will also go through their final party night before going to prison.
Fantastic. Brilliant.
And what happens when they get out of prison.
This story's been so mad, there's still a chance it all gets pinned on that horse. And that horse is now currently serving 45 years in Arkansas jail or whatever for money laundering.
We will find out next time.
Spring was never waiting for us, dear. It ran one step ahead as we followed in the gang.
That's it for part 3, I'm afraid. We're one from the end. What a tale it is. The rise and fall of Studio 54. Join us in part 4 for what is an absolute crashing fall. Remember, you can get all the episodes of this series right now. Well, it's only one more, let's be honest. museumofpopculture.supportingcast.fm. There's plenty of bonus episodes over there, including we've got a live Zoom episode coming up as well. See you next time.